Here we go. Welcome, everybody. All right. Welcome back. We just did this once and weren't live, so we're doing it again. And Lachlan pointed out we could have done a better job of that. But welcome to the show. My name is Dean. That, of course, is Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. You're right. We're fucking nailing this already. And, of course, in on the program, the executive director for an organization called Hungry for Life. He looks like me, has the same name as me because we are related. That is my brother, Dave Blundell. Good to see you, Dave. Nice to see you. Welcome back.
Good to have you, Dave.
Good to be back.
Yeah.
Good to be back. Good to see you, Lachlan.
Funny because I was talking with Dave and my dad yesterday because they were in the same house doing some stuff, having a conversation. And I'm like, hey, do you want to come on the show? And he's like, not really.
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
He's like, I don't want that smut in my life. My dad's like, yeah, no shit. Get it together. No, they didn't say that. But anyway, good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good.
Yeah, busy? Busy right now?
Yeah, that's super busy.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I wanted to have Dave on, and I know we're a little bit early, is he runs an international aid organization called Hungry for Life. Now, Hungry for Life is an aid organization that goes around the world legitimately feeding people, schooling people, and doing the best for other people that live a marginalized life, depending on what country you're in. And you've been in Ukraine now. Your organization's been in Ukraine for how long? 18 years? 18 years. And what is the scope of work that you were doing in Ukraine? Maybe you should start there and then we can get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Pre-war, what we were doing is focused geographically on the eastern part of the country, right where the conflict is bad right now. And we were basically doing widow care. So having these ladies go into bedridden widows' homes and doing personal care, feeding, bringing them food. We looked after orphans in a home near Mariupol right now. Well, they're not there right now, but they were near Mariupol. Mm-hmm. And then we were doing other kind of feeding programs, home visits, lots of relief and aid, and also leadership development and teaching.
Mm-hmm. So that started out of what? Like, and you listen, we talk all the time, so I know that you work with widows, but like, a lot of people don't know that the orphan problem in the Ukraine and the widow problem in Ukraine is legitimately its own pandemic or endemic, if you will, right?
Yeah. What is that? What's the story behind that?
Yeah, it's from a lot of the orphans are what we call economic orphans or social orphans, where maybe they have one parent alive, but that parent is unable to look after them for alcoholism reasons or other economic reasons, and so they become sort of economic or social orphans. And then there's just legitimately a lot of them that are completely orphaned or total orphans, and that has to also do with sickness and alcoholism and all the junk that comes from the things that this country's been exposed to. From a widow's perspective, again, lots of men die from alcoholism, all the wars and the conflicts, and just all kinds of social problems and conflicts that have contributed to a huge amount of people dying that results in widows and orphans.
Mm-hmm. I was watching the news and they were talking about all these kids that are making their way north into Poland. I'm like,
by themselves,
by themselves. There's like a ton of them, right? Like it's not something that we can relate to here, right? Like generally speaking, I think for the most part in Canada, if you have a kid, you would find a way to care for the kid. The kid doesn't end up by itself at 10 fending for itself, right? But in the eastern part of that world, I guess it happens quite a bit. And there's lots of aid organizations that are in those countries specifically to look out for those kids, right, Dave?
Yeah, there's lots of organizations that do a great job at that, and it's pretty great to see. And it's not just Ukraine. It's in many parts of the world. Some places we hear about more than others. So yeah, that's especially when you're talking about unaccompanied children or orphans that are now refugees that are making their way, across a huge country to try and get to safety. That's just a whole other level of evil.
Oh, geez. And then you got to think about the abuse that they might go under or that taken advantage of by, because there's some horrible, horrible human beings in the world that we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't help but think about that part of it too. Like nefarious people. You saw it with 9/11. You saw it in after the tsunami. Remember the tsunami happened where a bunch of kids went missing. I mean, like the humanitarian issue that is going on in Ukraine isn't just the war. I mean, the war is absolutely sped up and destroyed that country and the infrastructure and killed thousands of people. But you're talking about a country that had a major problem with poverty before. It had a major problem with orphans and marginalized people before, right? So what kind of need is Hungry for Life seeing? Because one of the things that a lot of people don't know is there are a ton of people that are massing on the border, whether it's, World Vision or this guy or that guy. But Dave and his organization, Hungry for Life, are legitimately, I think, one of, if not the only organization in Ukraine with people living there that work for him, that actually deliver aid, that help people get from one side of the country to the other. And the whole process is bizarre, but it's like one of the greatest fucking stories that nobody's talking about, pardon my language, but explain that to me, because the way that Hungry for Life has sort of been able to operate in this country, and by the way, 100% of donations that go to Ukraine, that my brother collects, go to Ukraine. None of it is admin. They don't take a dime. It's literally a labor of love and faith and trying to fucking help people that really, truly need help. So what does that look like on a daily basis? Like from the start of the war to where you are now, what has Hungry for Life been able to do, and how do you do it?
Yeah, this is a unique response for us, and we're in a completely unique position because we had a staff member, Chad, who you maybe have seen in other media,
I've seen Chad on CBC. Yeah, I've seen him a couple of times.
Yeah, powerful guy. Him and his wife and his 17-year-old daughter, they moved to Ukraine last summer to look after some personal items, some property, and care for family, because he could do his job from there just like he could do it from home because of COVID and work from home stuff. And so we knew he was going to be there for about a year, but had no idea how valuable it would be for him to be there. So he's in the far western part of the country, like right in the corner, half an hour from Slovakia, half an hour from Hungary. And that gives them a unique position because up until recently, they were hundreds of miles away from any sort of hostilities. That's changed in the last couple of days where it's gotten a little closer. But what it did is give them the ability to mass a huge humanitarian response. And now it's pretty clear to us why he needed to be in Ukraine for a year, because of our 18-year history there, the network that we've built, the relationships with other leaders. What it's given us the ability to do is receive money and food aid and not only look after refugees that are in the West trying to get out to those European countries, but it's also enabled us to send what do they call them? Sprint vans back into the East with food. And that's just an incredible whole story. So we have this amazing ability because most aid organizations are setting up around the border of the West. So Poland, Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, and they're hoping that to help refugees that come into those countries. And they're hoping to get into Ukraine one day, but we're there and we have the ability to respond, not just a few people out Chad and Mary's back window, but tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Is that what's literally happening? Like, first of all, what's the name of the town that Chad and Mary are in with Hungry for Life?
Do we even want to say that?
I don't want to be real. Yeah, I don't want to be real specific as to where they are.
Okay. So based on what? Yeah, but are people like refugees are literally coming into their backyard? Like it's like a drive-through for refugees, right? Yeah.
Yeah, thousands of them have. Every day they've got people in their homes. They've got about 1,000 people looked after in faith centers and other churches in that area. And then they're safe there and they're bringing people into their homes. And then there's a whole bunch of other people in Western Ukraine that are also taking people into their homes, sort of like we got room for 2, we got room for 4, a whole other camp that's got people there. So there's thousands of people being looked after there, but then there's also thousands of people on their way through. So some are staying in those refugee centers and some of them are just transiting through to needing a night there and then going to other European countries. So
Poland, Hungary, Moldova, Romania, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Can I just say something quickly? And this is just a bit of a critique of how you guys present yourselves. And I understand where it comes from. You guys are very, very humble, but I think you guys should be way more energetic about asking for money. Right. Because I mean, I saw Chad and I'm like, and this is just after we had talked to you and I was like, oh, that's Dave's buddy in Ukraine.
Oh, did you see him on the news? Yeah, he was on Global and CBC. Yeah.
A couple of days after we chatted with you. And I'm like, tell everybody you guys need money.
We're trying.
Yeah, like give these
Yeah.
guys
Give money,
money.
you cheap fucks.
Yes.
Like, let's go. Let's get on the fucking stick.
I don't know that I'll use that messaging in particular.
No,
but
we'll do
no,
it
that's
for you.
unique to this
we'll do it.
podcast. But I mean, because I'll tell you why, Dave, because people are looking for ways to help out, and they're just. I mean, you feel helpless. You're sitting there watching this shit happen on the TV every day, and all you want to do is just give. But then that that one part of you is like, but I don't want this money to go to the wrong hands, and I need a legit freaking organization. Am I going to be sponsoring somebody building a schoolhouse that never gets built? Right? Like, is that what's going to happen here? So people are desperate to find legitimate sources where their money is actually going to have the most impact, and it's actually going to have a damn impact. I think that's why the Airbnb thing took off so well here in Canada. We had well over 3,000 Canadians book weekends in the Ukraine.
Was that the
when
number?
the word got out, right?
What a great fucking number. No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a number. Yeah.
And that was a 2 or 3 days after I heard about it. It was like 3,000 Canadians. And there was thousands of other people from around the world. That money gets directly in the hands of Ukrainians that need it. And then they can use it for whatever to help their neighbors, their friends and family and that kind of stuff. Right. So if you Google Hungry for Life, Dave's webpage is right at the top of Google, and you just hit that webpage and you can go there and you can find the link to donate. And these guys are getting funds, they're getting help to the people right in the Ukraine. So good for you. Good for you, Dave. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks. As Chad put it yesterday, Chad had an interview with Ian Hannamansing on Cross Country Checkup. And the way that he put it is, we're no longer just asking, we're pleading, because they're seeing this ever-growing need. We've got the ability to respond. And I think the other side of the coin here, it's been an evil, horrible experience for people that we really love and care about. The other side of that coin is it's just an incredible thing to think of how difficult it would be to see what's going on right now and not have the ability to respond, given how invested we are there. We've been there for 18 years. And so to have the ability to do something about it and give people like you and other people from across the country, other organizations from across the country that want to have a direct presence, we're giving them the opportunity to have a direct impact right away through people that we trust, because we've been there for 18 years.
That's very powerful, Dave. Good for you, man. I wish I was just an ounce of the human being you are. Honestly,
we all do.
No. But the fact that you're doing this, the fact that you're advocating, obviously means that same need to help people is in all of us.
Yeah.
Some of us are just doing it in different ways. So there's no comparison. There's no comparing when it comes to, people's altruism at all. The fact that you're talking about it shows how invested you are as well.
I'm going to tell my wife that tonight.
Yeah, you should. You should actually get her to get it tattooed on her forearm. Actually, that's probably a good way for her to remember.
My
who's
husband does a good thing because he's a loud ass.
I want to ask about this picture. You posted this on your Instagram account, Dave, Hungry for Life's Instagram account. Follow them on Instagram in case you're wondering where the donations went. To your point, video update coming soon. This is a warehouse. So take me through the logistics. This is a lot of stuff. You got blankets, food, and all that other stuff. Take us through what you guys are doing on a daily basis, because my understanding was from the last interview that I heard with Chad, who's on the ground in Ukraine. He and his wife are trying to help people, handing out food back door, trying to get people across the country. There's a system here, and it's like it includes like 100 Sprinter vans. Like, this is not a small operation. No. What Hungry for Life is doing, and I want to impress that upon people. Communicate with you can what that system is and what that looks like on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's a good question, because people are asking us all the time. What are the logistical issues going on right now, and how are you actually able to do this in a conflict zone? And the first principle is the first logistical benefit is the fact that we are as far away from the conflict as you can be and still be in Ukraine. And so that gives us a great geographical position. What we've been able to do is get money in there through a couple of different avenues. And I don't want to talk about some of that because it would put some people in risk. So we're able to get money there fast and on a regular basis. And they have organizational credit cards where they can be buying stuff. But that's going to stop soon because the stuff in stores is running out, even in the far west. And so now we're contacting producers and suppliers and manufacturers and purchasing food directly from them. And now we're also starting to see truckloads of stuff come in through Hungary that's come from places like Germany and Holland, and they're able to receive aid. And so for a while there, they were just using Chad and Mary's garage to put these food hampers together and get it out. But that changed super quick. And then somebody in their community donated this warehouse that you see, and a second warehouse in the central part of the country, so we can kind of stage in two places. And what you saw in that picture is like just tons and tons of stuff. And that's one of the reasons we don't want to talk about where they are, is because, if you're looking at that picture, that's money right now in Ukraine. That's as good as money. And
it's probably more valuable.
Yeah. So as you see, there's mattresses right in the back. You can't see, there's huge amounts of vegetables for borscht because they love that so much. And there's grains and depends and diapers for older people and babies, because a lot of them are bedridden and don't have personal care like we do. And so that stuff's all going out through these 100 Sprinter vans that sprint out into the east and come back and pick up more stuff. And the people who are driving those vans are actually refugees that have stayed safe in the West. They're not leaving the country. They want to help. We've built some trust with them, and they're driving those things back directly into the conflict zone, sprinting back to the West. And so it's refugees that are helping refugees.
Yeah, that's part of the story that amazes me, is that you've got so many people involved that are not trying to get out of the country, right? You've got
it's a movie.
It is. You got hundreds of people that are like, fuck, I'm going to stay. Dave, what do you need? Chad, what do you need? I need you to take an army of people in Sprinter vans legitimately into Mariupol. And I need you to feed people. We need you to give them water. We need you to give them diapers. We need you to give them a blanket. We need you to give them cookies and tea. I was shocked at how important cookies and tea were. When we have Alex on the show, it's like the one thing he talks about is, something for the ladies, cookies and tea. And that's the process. Now, not only are they doing that, but you guys are also hustling people that want to get out all the way over, trying to avoid the, artillery shells and death squads and all the shit that's going on. I mean, like in this time, your organization and the people with your organization are not just feeding those, but they're actually at the same time trying to get people out as fast as they can. Right? Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
Yeah. People are on their way through to the border. But just a really cool thing that Chad told me about this morning was he's got a family arrived at his house. They're able to have a few people stay at their house. And so he had a family arrive at his place from Kharkiv, which is one of the cities in the northeast that has been obliterated. And so there was a 15-year-old girl that came into his house, and she had talked about the fact that she had this boyfriend in Kiev that she was unable to contact. She wasn't able to get in touch with her boyfriend, and she was really, really worried about him. But through talking to this 15-year-old girl, they put two and two together and realized that her boyfriend was actually staying in a house just a few doors down, because he had come from Kiev to the same place, and we drove them over, and they were able to be together.
God.
So, you just can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Stories, I mean, the stories of, you and I talked about it earlier, right? The stories of having this like tragedy unfold in front of you. I mean, if you sit in the tragedy, you get lost in it, right? Like you get negatively lost in that thought pattern of wondering when it's going to end, and the suffering, because you've seen suffering. I mean, one of the things that you've had to do is go into countries where there were just people lying in the gutter to go and feed people, whether it was Haiti or another country, whatever it was, North Korea. I mean, you've done it. You've seen these things. So, but are you, like, when you think about some of the stories that are coming out, do they still bother you? Like, are there some stories that you're like, I can't get over this story, or there's this story that explains so much to me?
Yeah, that's a huge question, dude, because each story is like, people refer to it as compassion fatigue or vicarious trauma, where each story feels like a little cut. And it's not the same as the person directly experiencing it, but as the ones hearing the stories, like we have over the years, and like Chad and Mary are on a daily basis right now, all of those are just little cuts to the soul and to the heart, and it both hurts you and it also both motivates you. And so the one that really had me recently too was Chad and Mary had an older lady and her daughter come into their house, and when they showed up at the house, they hadn't eaten for 9 days, and they were so traumatized from what they had experienced in the East and getting from the east to the west is not like a 3 hour ride. It's sometimes days to get across. And so hadn't eaten for 9 days. They were so traumatized they couldn't speak. They put them down at the table and they give them food right away. They couldn't even eat because they were just so kind of blankly staring forward. And so they finally ate, and we, through the process of registering refugees, we have to take copies of their passports to know who's gone through. And so looking at her passport, our team, Mary, realized that it was that day was this girl's birthday.
Jesus.
And so she sent Chad out and her daughter, go buy some flowers right away. And they found some flowers and brought it back. And just as Chad and his daughter got back, this mom and her daughter were leaving towards the border. And Mary's family, super musical. They got around her. They sang happy birthday to her, and she just broke down. And just to hear her story, and when she broke down, then she opened up about what they'd experienced, which is a friend in the nearby apartment went out to get some water, and he got taken out by shrapnel, and then she's talking about another maternity hospital that got bombed, and all the people were in the basement. And so hearing these stories is both incredibly motivating because we have the ability to help, but it's also incredibly damaging just to hear it, never mind experience it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, the suffering and the suffering that we see on a daily basis is suffering only in as much as we want to do something about it. So how can people do something about it? We talked about how to donate. And let me kind of explain to everybody that's listening and will listen to this, whether it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, etc., YouTube, Dean Blundell Show, quick plug, and Dean Blundell TV on Twitch. Depending on where you listen for it, you can donate all the time. But the reason why I wanted to have my brother on to do this is something Lachlan said a little bit earlier, is that there are a bunch of scams going around, and there are a bunch of people who like to prey on this kind of will. And I trust literally nobody.
Yeah.
And I've watched my brother build his company in the last 18, 20 years from this to this, and he's done it on the up and up, and he has never taken a dime, and 100% of the money that he takes in for projects goes directly to projects, not a dime. So how can people take these words and put them into works?
Yeah, great question, because you feel so paralyzed to help, as Lachlan was saying earlier. That's a real thing. And so we're getting calls from people saying, can I volunteer? Can I go? Can I come to your office? Can I send sweaters and blankets? And that'll come. Like, that help will come, and we'll be able to do that in the future, obviously, depending on how this unfolds. But because of the network we have, because of the ways to get cash there, because of ways to acquire stuff, literally, and I know every organization says this, but it's true, the best thing to do right now is just give some money. And like Dean said, 100% of, yeah. And as Dean said, 100% of it goes to the project. And you can do that through our website. And it's just incredible what's happened in the generosity of Canadians in the last couple of weeks. And it just continues to be an incredible thing to see people mobilize to this.
Dave, we need stories like this.
What's that? Sorry.
We need stories like this, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's saving me. I'm watching more news than I probably should. So you're consuming that, and so just having a chance to talk to somebody who has figured out a way to help is huge. I don't know if Dean has told you about Alex, but we've been chatting with Alex. He lives just outside of Kiev and Kyiv, and he is actually going in every day trying to help people in the bomb shelters, and he's just he's this light of a human being with this smile, and his videos are, this guy's in the middle of a wars. They're bombing the shit out of his country right now. He's in constant danger, and takes a minute to sing a happy birthday to his 1-month-old with his wife, and they're smiling and finding a human moment in just the worst shit show of a world that we live in, right? Like
a nightmare to be able to focus on anything. Like, for anybody that has a hard time focusing after you get some bad news, imagine trying to focus on, like, Alex is, and I hooked my brother up with Alex, so they're going to touch base, and I know they've already talked a little bit, so they'll talk again.
Good.
Just to give them options, right? I think Dave has people there, and we talked about it yesterday, that if things get a little hairy, he might be able to be a resource for Alex and his family. So That's important to us. But you bring up a great point. It's like, we see the dirge, we see the negativity, we see all the bullshit that comes with stuff like this. And it only gets better if you can actually be part of some kind of solution, right? If you can lean into it and say, okay, listen, this is horrible, but I got to go into the belly of the beast to be able to figure out what it is that I'm doing here so that I can feel like I'm on top of this mentally, because no one's on top of war mentally. Like, we've sat and watched people hurt each other, and this is my thing. This is literally my thing. If your movement hurts somebody else, it's not a movement. You're just an asshole. And we've watched literally these people get decimated. It's genocide is what it is. And they need our help. And this is your way to kind of get the cobwebs out and be able to say, okay, listen, we're going to put words into work. So website, hungryforlife.com. Is it the name of it? hungryforlife.org.
And just to let you know, get your mind really around it, is we figured out, based on the work we've done for the last couple of weeks, that about $7.50 helps one person for a day with the food and the basics. And so whatever you're willing to do, multiply that number by whatever you're willing to do, or divide it. I don't know how the math works, but that gives you an idea of how people can directly help and make an impact. And within days of us receiving funds, they're getting into the Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, good for you, man. Good for you. And again, like I said, Hungry for Life. If you can donate any money, and if you're just looking for a Google, just Google Hungry for Life. It'll pop up. It's the first thing. It's the webpage. I just did it on my phone. It took me 2 seconds.
Thanks, guys.
Way to go with the SEO there, Dave. Way to go. You really did a great job.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, and
search engine optimization.
I don't know anything about that.
Well, you came up number 1 on Google, so you're doing something right. Way to go.
Oh.
And next time we have you on, Dave, please, the two of you need to have a conversation about not wearing the same clothes. This has been triggering me for the last 25 minutes. It's really, I'm having a hard time getting past it, because you kind of look similar. You got the same kind of glasses, and then you guys put the same fucking shirt on. What's wrong with you two?
Well, I think Dean's is a little bit more, he's got a collar. I haven't seen him wear a collar for a long time, so there must be something going on.
There's a story behind that. There's a story behind that.
Yeah, I had a talk with a female that I happened to enjoy her company, and I wanted to put on a shirt. That was it. There's nothing going. No,
you wanted to impress this.
No. I just was like, truth is, all my black shirts are in the wash, so I wore this. But I did, I did have an idea that have a conversation today with a female. She might like a collared shirt.
You may want to buy a shirt that isn't 42 years old, and the collar might stand up a bit better.
Yeah. See, I don't care that much. Dave, thank you for doing this.
You're good, man.
At Dave Blundell on Twitter, Hungry for Life on any social platform that you can follow. All the details will be there. hungryforlife.org. These guys are in Ukraine. They are helping people at a rate that nobody else can. They are legitimately getting money in, food in, people out as fast as possible, more effectively than any other organization. And I'm super honored that you took time to join us today, brother. Thank you so much.
Please keep us posted on your communication with Alex too, right?
Yeah,
right.
I will. Yeah. And just to let you know too, I don't know if we're more effective than other organizations, because there's a whole bunch of other organizations that have recognized we have people there, they're raising money from their constituencies as well. So there's a big partnership. There's a big network of organizations here that we're working with to make this stuff happen.
I'm not talking to them,
we
though.
Give a shit about. It's yours.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon. Say hi to Dad when you see him.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Love you guys. Have a great day.
Love you too. All right, bye bye. That's nice. The only time he told me he loved me was on the show. Just kidding. He tells me all the time. He's in the waiting room now. He's in the waiting room. He's like, dude, seriously.
I love you too, Dean.
I love you too, bud. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. Now let's move on. Now that we got the touchy feelies out of the way. Well, when did the cross checking thing come down? Because I'm very curious about that. Matthews.
It happened probably 4 hours ago. I got a note from somebody. I don't know if you watched the game last night.
I watched the highlights.
Oh, fuck, dude. What a terrible hockey
the parade.
Game. What, maybe the worst hockey game I've ever seen.
It was chippy, eh?
Chippy. It was garbage. The Leafs looked like they sucked every time Buffalo got within 5 feet of Peter Mrazek. I was like this. And for good reason, they lost 5-2 on 3 of the fucking worst goals I've seen in a long time. But really the key is Matthews lays 2 hands on Rasmus Dahlin like he fucking gave him the old 2x4 right across the side of the head, the neck. I don't know if you've ever seen Tommy Boy where he's like, Does it hurt? It hurts here and here. It hurts really right here. That was really what I saw was this fucking, like, I've never seen a cross check like that. And it was because he fucking missed his arm. It was a vicious cross check. And he's not a vicious fucking player. But everybody in the city is freaking the fuck out because we've got no goaltending, right? Jack's hurt. Jack Campbell's hurt. Peter Mrazek has been a fucking joke, but I feel sorry for him. Just awful. And now we're like, you saw Shanahan and Dubas, and they're wearing their Peaky Blinders hats, and they're sitting there going, maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. Like when your team is 20 games above 500, you wouldn't know this because you're an Oilers fan. But when your team is like 20 games above 500,
relax.
You're just same shape as us. Yeah.
In the Pacific or whatever the hell division we're in.
He got 2 games. He gets like 2 penalties a year. He got 2 fucking games.
Well, let's be honest. One of those games was for the mustache. Like he should have got 1, but then they went, we need to give him 1 more because of his facial hair.
Right.
So that's how that went down. I mean, I feel so sorry for Leaf fans right now.
Why?
Sarcasm.
You know what I realized? It was funny because, like, I found out 2 days ago Edmonton's had a new head coach for like 2 months.
Yeah,
like we've been so fucking
Woodcroft.
Focused. Yeah, Woodcroft. And he looks and talks like he's in the 12th grade, and I'm like, everybody listens to that fucking guy. But they've started to turn it around.
He's I think it's John. What? Jesus.
John Woodcroft, Mark Woodcroft, Rob Woodcroft. I don't know. His name's Woodcroft. He's got a lazy kind of lip too. It makes me laugh. But
let me Google this.
My point is this: is that I had my head so far out of the NHL. Like I didn't give 2 shits that Major League Baseball was on strike when they were on strike. When they announced the deal, I was like, I put out a tweet. I'm like, oh, baseball's back. Like, fuck. The world is so heavy right now. I feel like it's done a disservice to the people that like to watch fucking sports or hockey. Like I was trying to watch a Raptor game last night. They've had an unbelievable fucking week, like an unreal week. They go down to Phoenix, they take them out on the road, then they go into Denver and they take out Jokic, reigning MVP, on the road with their scrubs. Like, dude, this is a fucking good basketball team. But it's like I don't. Jay Woodcroft.
Story.
That's the guy's name.
It was a Jay. Yeah.
Well, case in point, you live in the city. Where the only thing going on is the Oilers, and you've been so preoccupied with like real world shit. You're like, I don't know, they got a new coach, but like it's the most important thing, and I didn't know about it. I had no idea Edmonton had a new hockey coach.
Can I share some guilt I have about that comment? Actually,
sure.
So, I don't second guess myself very often when it comes to what I do on the air or what I do on this podcast. I generally, I've come to terms, you come to terms with this very quickly as a broadcaster, that not everyone is going to like what you do. And there's a good chance that that on a daily basis, somebody is going to tell you how much of a dickhead you are, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, it comes with the territory. You have to be able to shake it off. And again, there'll be days when I realize, hey, the show wasn't that good. Even this podcast is like, my contribution to the podcast wasn't as strong as it normally could be. But whatever, we'll shake it off. And tomorrow's a new day. And then there's days where it's like, yeah. But right now, with what's happening in the Ukraine, I am dealing with a little bit of guilt, especially on, I don't know why, social media more so than the show or this podcast, because we are dealing with these issues on the podcast, and I am getting a chance to talk about it on the show as well. But the issue I have is, like, I posted this picture that I saw on the weekend. Well, I was out at a curling tournament in Seba, on Seba Beach here, which is just like a 45-minute drive from my house. It's just west of town. And I don't know if people saw it, but this guy had this Trump flag and he's flying it in Canada.
What?
And I'm like, what the? I should see if I can.
At a curling tournament. First of all, you going to a curling tournament might be the fucking news of the year.
Okay.
Congratulations. Right. Hope you won.
We got killed. Okay. So this is this guy's front. He lives just off the water in Seba Beach. And my wife and I went down to check out the town. Yeah. So we drove down to the water and we had a little walk because we got there early. Right. And so I saw it. My wife saw it. She goes, look at that. And then I was like, I gotta take a picture because people
What
aren't
does it
gonna
say? It
believe
says
me.
Trump 2024. Is that what it says?
Trump won.
Trump won.
This is in Canada. This is a small little beach town in Canada. You gotta have money to live out there, man. Like those properties are not cheap. And I'm just like, what? So I posted it and I said, I probably don't need to tell anybody that this is Canada, right? Like it's just weird to me that there's that level of delusion in the world that we live in. And I posted it on my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter. And the Facebook blew up, right? Facebook loves this shit.
Oh, dude, it is designed to suck that outrage and like shove it in people's faces and make them come back at you and go, fuck you, he won.
90% of the comments were, wow, what? Hold on. You're kidding me. Oh, that's crazy. La da da. And then there was a couple that like, see, finally the truth's getting out and then shit like that. And, like, holy. And then one today, I got it this morning in the middle of the show, kind of threw me for a loop. And she's right. She's totally right. She's like, there's way more important things to be fucking talking about right now, worrying about than some stupid flag on a pole.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, Jesus, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it gives you pause for just a minute, right? People are dying and I mean everywhere around the world. There's always conflicts, but there are way more important things right now than having a fight on Facebook about whether or not Trump won the last US election.
Yeah. Still, after like 2 fucking years. He won, man. And in Canada, that's someone that just fucking has no idea what day it is. Like zero. And doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't care what day it is. Doesn't care what you think. Fuck you. I'm going to fly this flag in your face because
he must be
they're
awesome
like
at dinner parties.
Probably a lot of fun. Those flags to me are an invitation to get your fucking face punched in. Just like the MAGA hats.
Yeah,
like to me, if you're wearing one of those, you're flying that flag. The one thing you're telling people, specifically in Canada, I don't give a shit about the United States because they're fucking crazy and half of them don't even know what fucking day it is either. So whatever. But if you're a Canadian and if you fly a flag that says Trump won, Trump 2024, don't tread on me. Or if you think that American politics are so important to you that you need to deface your home, right? With a flag about a degenerate pedophile who should be the president, you're a fucking idiot. That's just kind of the bottom line, is that you are a useless member of society. So useless, in fact, and I go back to this all the time, so useless, in fact, that they should be passed over for censuses. They should have their fucking electricity shut off. They should not be allowed to fucking register a vehicle to use that vehicle because all that hat is and all the flag is, all it is just like, I want everybody around me to know how much of a cock I am all the time. And I am not going to stop being a cock until someone makes Donald Trump the president of the United States again. And this is in Canada.
I think they would continue to be a cock, even if they did put him back into power. Let's say he's right. Let's say the guy flying the flag is right. Yeah. He'd probably still be a cock after. And it might even be worse.
Oh, he'd be a veiny, uncircumcised, greasy, diseased cock, no matter what's bothered him. But those flags and that hat and the don't tread on me shit, all that is an identifier for the rest of us to know where the mental illness is and to stay away from the emotionally detached human being. That's all it is.
This is like the other thing that's really bothering me is that there's some social media. I've witnessed it a couple of times. Battles and arguments about whether or not the conflict in Ukraine is actually real. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Listen, I don't think we need to get too far in the weeds in this. That guy with that flag, something's off there. The woman on my Facebook, you can go look at my Facebook. I'll follow everybody.
I'm good.
Lachlan Cross, go look at some of the comments underneath the picture of that flag. There's a woman in there saying that it's right, and she's looking for she's mentally ill. Like, I'm sorry that I'm making a judgment based on somebody that I have never met, but I truly believe that if you have somebody in your life like that and you're still able to communicate with them on some level, try to get them some help and get them the fuck off the internet.
Get them on Facebook.
Yeah, get him off Facebook, because I think that's a sickness.
Totally it is.
It seems like a severe diagnosis, but there's
Have you heard of the
something
phrase
more.
Have you heard of the phrase tutor
Going on there.
corollary? Have you heard of that phrase before?
No.
It's like Dunning-Kruger, but it's a little different. Dunning-Kruger is a syndrome that was given a name by some people named Dunning and Kruger to explain why incredibly stupid people are so ardent that they're right all the time. It's because in their limited knowledge that they just don't know how dumb they are. Tutor corollary is almost the same thing. It is a syndrome or a disorder or a disease where the person thinks everything that bothers them is a conspiracy against them, right? It's legitimately something that people are going through right now, and it's kind of this loose slang phrase, tutor corollary. I don't know where it came from or how they got the name, but that is the gist, and this is who these people are.
The victimhood.
Yeah, and it comes from a variety of sources. Like part of it is I don't got any confidence, or I'm not that bright, or I get terrible fucking upbringing. And so what happens is that these people are marginalized, and they're the most easily activated, right? Especially the religious cats. And so they'll hang on to this stuff forever. And with the bleeding of different shitty pieces of information that kind of make their way around, where you've got literal celebrities like Kevin Sorbo going, this is legit, or Dean Cain, the former Superman. And the one that bothered me, and it happened today, I don't know if you've seen Russell Brand. He's a comedian, very funny guy. One of the greatest movies ever made, Get Him to the Greek. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It is always funny every time you watch it. So he's turned into this philosophical legend. He sides with guys like Jordan Peterson, who's legitimately fucked in the head, total egomaniac, absolutely not a philosopher. He just hides behind his fucking degrees so that he can continue to be a total asshole. But Russell Brand took to Twitter today. Oh, fuck. I would ride Jordan Peterson like a horse. I would.
You know what?
I would fuck his brain up.
I'm fascinated by
Can't
Jordan
stand
Peterson.
him. Piece of shit.
Really, eh?
Just all about him. Everything he tells people is about him. Follow him on Twitter. Watch one day of him on Twitter. Everything is about him. Every single thing. And if it's not about him, it's about attacking other people that don't like the fact that he's an asshole. Anyway, long story short, Russell Brand put this out today. And this video that he put out, I found it to be fucking gross. And the video,
laughing at it.
Were you really in the morning?
I don't know why. I found it funny. It seems like I can't take him serious. I don't know if he's being serious or not.
I think he is. But one of the things that he was talking about today in this video that he put out that I fucking had a problem with is where he's like, you know what? Canada is a dictatorship just like Putin is a dictator. Ukraine and Canada aren't the same, but they are the same.
Obviously, the war in Ukraine and the crushing of protests in Canada are two separate things. This war is a humanitarian disaster. It is wrong. What I'm saying is that if the reason that this war is wrong, or one of the reasons, is because it is against democratic principles, then you must ensure that where it is possible, where there is no militarized state opposing your ability to be democratic, you should be democratic. Otherwise, you do not have the same argument. You can criticize Russia for many, many reasons. You can condemn the actions of Russia, quite rightly, for many reasons. What you can't do is claim to be an exemplar of democracy if whenever you get the opportunity to be tyrannical, you take it. Let's see what Justin Trudeau had to say about Chinese state authoritarianism in 2014.
He was asked which country he most admired and referred to China.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China.
Even then, before Justin Trudeau became a sort of figure of loathing as a result of the trucker actions, and I'm sure for other things that I've not been following, he literally, while he's still in his boy band phase, is openly declaring affection for Chinese state authoritarianism.
Because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar.
If only we had a dictatorship. Don't worry, Justin. Future you has got that covered.
Russell Brand's history real quick. He's a comedian. He's got a third grade education.
You know what?
He's a self-avowed philosopher who doesn't understand philosophy because he puts himself in the center of his fucking philosophy. And on top of it,
If you start announcing you're a philosopher, things might
you're
be
not a
wrong.
philosopher. No, you're not.
Here's the problem I have with
Fucking
where
awesome.
we're at right now, and the fact that we're so polarized, is that there's people that are in the public eye, and again, I always look at this from my own position in this world that we live in, and it's a weird kind of world, right? Because you need to gain listeners, and so sometimes you need to be provocative, or you got to just trust you're being entertaining enough that, so there is this attempt, even if you just stick your toe into it, to try to gain some notoriety. And so you see a lot of these guys that have it and they're trying to keep it or grow it, and it seems deliberate to me.
Oh,
and
totally.
That's kind of what I see with Russell Brand. I don't think he's a dumb guy.
Do you mean like tagging along on, a hot algorithmic hashtag when it comes to Canada and truckers? So he does content, and listen, you're 100% right. He does content that he knows have trending hashtags and doesn't know fucking anything he's talking about, has no idea how Canada is set up, has no idea about reasonable limitations, has no concept of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and how it actually works, wasn't here for 3 weeks dealing with fucking people taking a dump in the streets and trying to rape women going home and
he's probably
flying
being
Nazi
fed
flags.
Some information as well.
Exactly.
That
the funny
speaks
part
to a narrative.
The funny part of this, to me, and this is the truth. I mean, fuck, if you understand how this whole thing works, we're gonna have a guy named Chris Vickery on. He's a data breach expert from the United States who has appeared in front of Parliament here in Canada to talk about why certain organizations like Aggregate IQ, Cambridge Analytica, those companies that are legitimately making the world worse on behalf of their clients, Russian evangelical theocratic assholes. So when those guys get a hold of something like this has been seen over 1 million times in Canada already. Today, it came out this morning, and the people that are pushing this video are from a company called the Postmillennial, which is owned by the same people that own Ontario Proud, Canada Proud, the hate speech, right wing, alt fuck you, Canada's better without brown people. Those guys. Right. That is what the Postmillennial does. And then they put it on steroids, because what this does is it gives Canada a black mark. It makes us look like we're just like everybody else, which is exactly what foreign powers want, so that they can introduce theocracy and all the bullshit that comes with it. That's what Russell Brand is legitimately a useful idiot. And he's playing into the hands with that content. And that content is what continues to separate people to your point.
That's the conversation that you and I keep having, because we understand this from being in broadcasting and about the attempt to grow an audience and to build a brand. Like, I get that. I've always tried to do it from being legitimately myself, right? You know what? I've always just been unapologetic. This is who I am. These are my thoughts. Do I exaggerate stories for the sake of humor? Absolutely, I do. But if somebody tells me, you know what, if somebody gives me some advice about social media and how to reach people a little bit further, or use this now because they're not stomping on it or whatever, like when Facebook was doing the Facebook Live stuff, you could reach a much bigger audience than just putting a post on Facebook, because Facebook was crunching it, but they wanted Facebook Live to do things and they wanted it to catch on. So they weren't really crushing it with algorithms and shit like that. So we'd do these little things, right? So knowing that, and knowing that these are conversations that people that are in the content creation side of things are doing, I kind of approach guys like this from that. Okay, how much of this does he actually believe? How much of this is deliberate because he wants
he's
more
tying
likes,
into he's trying into trend, and he wants people to, and he gets money from CPMs, and so he wants more people. Yeah, dude, it's a strategy. I wouldn't doubt that half of it is a strategy and half of it he kind of believes.
I get a sense he believes a bit of it though.
Yeah, oh totally.
Yes.
Totally. And you know where I think it comes from him? Like, I don't think he's a bad actor. I just think he's not very fucking smart when it comes to putting this stuff out in the ethosphere. He's smart at disseminating certain pieces of information. But again, that is totally a personal perspective that is absolutely not grounded in any factual reality other than the video that he played, which is super damning, right? Which is Trudeau going, I like China. China can turn on a dime because their dictatorship tells me, like, for him to say that back then, this is like 7 years ago or 8 years ago. He just gets pounded by his own words. Like, I mean, everybody can do that on a daily basis.
But you can
with
take
anybody
anything out of context, and that's what that is. I mean, and I'm not defending. You know how much I hate Justin Trudeau. I got to turn him off when he starts talking, and so I'm defending Justin Trudeau from what that is. That was clipped out, and it was used to damn him. Right. Plus, to be honest, Justin Trudeau gets himself into trouble a lot with his mouth.
Yeah.
I think English is his second language. Again, that's not an excuse. I think French is what he leans on. So he will get him the juice box fucking thing. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. What do you plan on doing to cut down on recycling or recycle more? Well, we're going to use box water juice boxes, boxing.
By the way, we don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I'll tell you one thing that I can't believe is not a bigger issue in the country we live in. We all pay to recycle. That money is not used to recycle.
You really hate people that don't recycle, don't you? No.
I'm a step away from buying a barrel and burning my garbage in the backyard based on how angry I am about how poorly we recycle. And it's not just Edmonton. If you guys really start digging up in the city that you are in and start asking questions about what gets recycled and what doesn't, you're putting all that shit in blue boxes or blue bags or blue bins or green bins or whatever the fuck it is, and they are taking it to a warehouse, they're putting it on the back of trucks, and they're taking it to the dump. And they're charging you to be a part of this recycling program. I'm telling you right now, it happens, and it doesn't just happen in Edmonton. And now people are starting to get in on the Edmonton. The Edmonton city councilors, and they're starting to admit that we recycle like 25% of what you put in those fucking blue bins.
If that, and that's not a unique situation, and we're paying for it. We get charged for this shit, people. Why we aren't in the streets protesting every day because of this is beyond me. What? Don't laugh at me. It drives me crazy. Recycling. I know, but it's recycling. It was like a couple of weeks ago.
You're like, angry about
I've been freaking out about bike lanes for 5 years. And I'm like, that's not the fight you want. You don't want the bike lane fight because you don't care. You just assume run over those people when they're in your fucking way, right?
We have bike lanes in Edmonton. They clear them before the fucking roads.
I know.
It drives me insane. So it's fucking -10 right now. It's March. It's -10. There's 2 feet of snow in my backyard.
I know.
No one bikes in Edmonton, and they're planning on expanding it by 678 kilometers. And they're telling everybody it's going to cost them $300 million, which means it's going to be $600 million by the time they're done, because you always double every price.
Dude, you don't see that money. You don't see it. You don't know. If you didn't know as much as you knew about the shystering when it comes to recycling and how stupid bike lanes, like, you don't ride a bike, right? Like, I would pay to watch you ride a bike. I'd pay to watch you navigate those lanes. I really would. I would pay to watch you go, let's try. So why don't you do that? Why don't you get a bike and go, I'm going to try these fucking bike lanes for like the next 6 months.
Because I was bitching about it so much. Some city councilor called me out. And so I got my fat ass on a bike and I went down and met him at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And did my show from my headphones on a bike in the middle of winter. Borrowed a bike from a bike shop. I did. I totally did. I did because I got guilted into it. Worst day of my life. And you know what? The bike lanes are awesome. They are. They're great. They're fantastic. But the amount it costs and the few people that use them, it's not worth it. You're never going to convince.
I don't have a problem with you with any of this. The one problem I have with you, and it's not even a problem I have with you, but we're doing a contest here at DeanBlundell.com where it's coinciding with March Madness, right?
Can I ask you a quick question before we get into this?
Yeah, please.
Is Jordan Peterson on this list?
He is. I believe he is, if I'm not mistaken. It's Jordan Peterson. He is not on this list.
He could have easily been on the list. He could have been on the Tournament of Champions.
We might have to rejig it, but we did a bonus round, and the bonus round was interesting because it was you versus me. No, that's John Kay versus Vladimir Putin, which will be a really good one too. Because that's the first one.
That's not going to upset John. So he's not coming back on the program ever again, eh?
No. No,
He is going to be pissed when he
it
sees
is the
that.
Freedom Asshole Tournament of Champions. We're looking for the biggest freedom fighter. Now, today, you and I finished almost in a dead heat. I would have been moving on in the bonus round because 59% of people thought I was a bigger asshole than you after about 1,000
I actually
votes.
was surprised by that. I thought I was going to win that one.
I did too. And I pointed that out on Twitter where I'm like, that guy is a way bigger asshole than me. Ask him how he raises kids and gets them to stop crying. And you're like, shut the fuck up. I'm not talking about that here on Twitter. And I'm like, no, what do you do? And someone's like, hold them upside down. And then you're like, no, but everyone should drug their kids getting on a flight. Like, if that's not asshole material,
Hey,
I don't know
hold
what
on.
is.
I didn't say everyone should. I just said that if you're a decent human being and you would like to travel, you should drug your children before you get on a flight. And grab all doesn't hurt them. I had my mom used to give me bags of it. I think I slept for the first 10 years of my life because she just constantly fed me Gravel. And I'm fine. Look at me.
Yeah. I slept for the first 10 years. Anyway, this gets underway, if I'm not mistaken. It gets underway as of yesterday. We went Vladimir Putin versus John Kay. You can go and vote. That is the first. The next fucking round is interesting because it's Chris Sky versus Pat King. Who's the bigger Quest for Freedom Tournament of Champions champion?
That is a tough pick. I
Right?
I can't even pick. I'm good with the first round. I'm having troubles with the Chris Sky, Pat King. That's a tough one, man.
I got to think Pat King.
Yeah, I got an easy pick for that.
Yeah, King is like in jail still, and Chris Sky is still in the Lamb. So I think that's got to go to Pat King. But you get a chance to go and vote for this at DaveBlundell.com. That's my point. Hillier versus Bernier. Who do you think? Who do you got?
For sure. I got Hill. I got Randy.
Bernier lost a judgment against Warren Kinsella today. He's on the hook for $132,000 legal costs. That's a pretty big fucking asshole move. I like that one.
Yeah.
Doug Ford versus Slapinski.
Old Slappy. I would pick Slappy just because of our relationship with Slappy and what he's done to you. So I'm leaning towards, and I don't live in Ontario, so I don't, but I have a feeling old Cheesecake Doug's going to win that one.
Quick update about Mark Slapinski, if you want some good news. All of his bank accounts have been frozen.
Oh, wow.
His Twitter account has been suspended for life. Now he's got a new one, and he's not supposed to have one. And so they're going to take that one away because, I don't know, someone may have told Twitter about it today.
Is his Toronto Today or whatever, is that the page that got shut down?
Yeah. Did an article about me last week, as a matter of fact. And it was... Oh, dude, and he won't stop because he knows that I intentionally ruined his fucking life. Like, he knows it. And it was like my pleasure. It was one of those things where I'm like, this is going to be a lot of fun, and I don't even care what happens. And so he's,
doesn't he?
Oh, dude, Russians are after him, and he's Russian. Pfizer's after him. Moderna's after him. And he's hiding. Apparently, he's in fucking hiding. And from hiding this last weekend, he wrote this article about me. Seriously. And I didn't even know about it until today. I'm like, thank God I didn't see that. Thank God no one saw that because no one takes this guy seriously because we fucked his life over on purpose. Look at this. Mark Slapinski says, Dean Blundell, the man that doxed Give, Send, Go donors, is not a pedophile, but he is a pervert and a terrible person.
What's his new Twitter?
I think it's Slapinski Mark Tech, if I'm not mistaken, or Slapinski Mark. Go ahead and report it to Twitter.
He got in trouble because he's calling people pedophile.
Well,
so
he's
probably
in
why he
trouble
was
for that.
readjusting. He's probably
in trouble for that. His Twitter account got suspended because he was passing on disinformation. And then he got arrested, and then he got caught up in that big Give, Send, Go sting because he was getting paid by foreign agents to produce shitty information about anybody, including me, including the Pfizer CEO who's still after him. I think there's some bikers that would like a word with him too. I think there are some Holocaust survivors that would like to take him to task as well. He is legitimately persona non grata, and he's legitimately out of nowhere, I think, writing like articles about me from hiding.
The interesting thing about what we know about old Slappy is so what was his webpage? His because he's had a couple of news pages, right? Toronto Today,
like Toronto 99, I think was one of them, and then he had like
Toronto
the
99.
The Vancouver Times was the name of it. He had like
Yes.
one called the Vancouver Times.
So
and
what we found out based on we're approached by these outside agents that want you to write articles, but they give you the narrative.
Yeah.
They go, here's what we want you to write about. You can put the headline in and make it in your own voice. But if you write this, if you write that the head of Pfizer, his wife died from taking the vaccine, there'll be a nice $10,000 check in
20,
your bank account.
30, 40.
So
50.
you guys were constantly getting offers like this and didn't take the money because
zero. Well, because you got to fucking be able to sleep at night. Like, I'm not going to put out something in the world that's going to make the world a worse place. No, dude, this is a business. I actually take this fucking seriously.
Yes.
With a guy like Mark, this is a mission on behalf of somebody to make easy money because he's a fucking useless piece of shit.
So
right?
he took
That's
the
it.
money.
So he took the money,
and now he's in major shit.
Oh, dude, so much trouble. It is fucking hard to imagine that guy. Like, imagine not being able to have a bank account. He does not any longer have a bank account. And I know that through very serious sources who are like, got him.
Well,
and I'm like, there you go.
Find ways around things like not being able to have a bank account, but it is nice to hear.
No, man, not when it's tied to your like social insurance number now. Like anytime any one of those, this is a fucking great little point of difference. Anytime one of those convoy cocks is like opening up a bank account, going to go to Nova Scotia, and they're not going to have any clue who I am. You walk in, you give them your ID, your social insurance number, and when they bring it up, this flag comes up. It's like a red flag. It's like, this guy's a fucking extremist. And he can't be trusted. So up to you if you want to give him a bank account. And they go like this with the laptop. Well, we'll see you later. We can't help you today. That is literally happening to hundreds of people on a daily basis. Yeah, here in Canada, because they were part of the fucking insurrection. And that is what Mark went there for that specific purpose. Mark acted like an asshole. Mark didn't take any days off trying to be a fucking piece of shit and pass around disinformation. So what Mark gets is a severe limitation of his life. And he's now a footnote. He's a joke. He's literally human meat. That's all he is.
You know what I found interesting about him was he was trying also to get a foothold on a legitimate side of things. And that's how he ended up on your radar, because he was doing things that were legitimate and he was actually trying to create a persona for himself. And then he had these other things happening around him, which he was using to make money. Mm-hmm. It's sad that we live in a world where he was doing the shitty things, and that was probably bankrolling his attempt to be a decent human being. But you got to wonder what kind of personality you need to be to justify that, right?
Insane.
Like he knew he needed this front.
Yeah. Dude, it's insane.
To get inroads into the world that we live in. He needed that, but he also had no problem being this shit disturber behind the scenes. Is crazy.
Dude, being a totally 100% different person with a totally opposite perspective that he delivered when he was with us or other people like him, right?
Yeah.
To the point where I went back through literally 3 years of blogging, maybe 4. And how long did he blog with us? Maybe 6-8 months. Had him on the show a couple of times. Both times we had him on, we were defending him from someone saying, you're a piece of shit and you do bad information. And I'm like, no, I think he's pretty good. Like, and then, well, dude, but
we should have kept our DMs or conversations because
every time he was on,
and a couple of other people were like, Dean, this guy is
fucked.
So weird. What's going on? Is he did not get this.
He didn't get humor. He didn't understand any, totally. But the fucking great part about
for me. I
know.
can work with that.
Yeah, I know you can. Uncomfortable, right? And his diction was weird. Like he'd talk like this, and I'm like, it sounds like he's hiding an accent. Sure enough, he's hiding an accent because he's from Eastern Europe, right? Like that's what he is. He's just a fucking agent for a piece of shit agent
I
who
thought he had
was-
Asperger's or something.
Yeah,
was
I
what
did.
was what we thought.
He was so fucking weird, wasn't he? Like the weirdest guy we ever had on the show.
But we didn't want to. You don't want to highlight that when somebody's in front of you. You don't want to go, "Hey, do you have Asperger's?" Like because you're not catching social cues. So we just did it behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind his
Which
back,
makes
really.
us even worse.
Yeah, but when you find out and you dig into how much of an egregious hunk of shit he is, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm really glad I sewered him behind his back a lot.
I'm much more comfortable doing it to your face, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, back to the Tournament of Champions. Fuck him.
I hope
This is going to be an
Slappy makes it
interesting
to the
one.
next round.
I think he will, but Doug Ford's a special piece of shit too. We've got round 5 here. Ezra Levent, Krista Ford. I think that one goes to Ezra. No big deal. No big.
I don't think Krista is as famous as Ezra. Like Ezra is like right across the board, and people are voting right across Canada on this
how
Tournament
much of
of
a
Champions
shit he
Quest
is,
for
yeah.
Freedom
Yeah.
at the Dean Blundell podcast or the deanblundell.com. That's going to go to Ezra.
Justin Trudeau, Theo Fleury.
Well, I can't see Justin not making it into the next round.
Yeah, he is universally hated. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that one. Theo's only
you know
hated by people that have a pulse.
I gotta be honest. When you brought me on the podcast a year ago, I was actually surprised because I thought my hatred for Justin Trudeau would stick out on this podcast. Like that it would be something that people would go, that's a little too much, right?
Like
And there's a lot of people from Ontario, like bike lanes is fucking, people get bike lanes. They understand why my anger for bike lanes exists in Edmonton. Okay. No, trust me. If there's anybody from Edmonton watching this, they all hate bike lanes as much as I do.
All right.
Okay. No. But I'm surprised. A lot of people that you brought on this podcast that are part of this network, they don't like Justin Trudeau. Now, may have voted for him based on the options that we have, but it's a universal thing. People don't like that douchebag.
No, and I get why. I mean,
it out.
yeah, he's embarrassing. He's a fucking meme. Like, the stuff that he does, he makes it look way more dramatic than it needs to be. I think he's a weak leader. I think he's had to step aside and let the ladies take over, like Anita Anand and Melanie Jolie and a couple of other people.
It's a strategy. I can see it.
I think he's smart. I think he's got to fucking shut up and allow everybody else around him because he's that universally hated. And, the part is I wanted to have free thinkers here. I didn't want to just have people that were on the right or the left. We never talk about those things. I never talk about political parties. I never talk about right, left. I never talk about you lean this way. So that means we have to think. It's like, I give two fucks. I find value in a lot of the things that are right. And I find a value in a lot of the things that are left.
Yeah,
but the one thing that I find more value in is if someone says, hey, like, I don't like Justin Trudeau, but I'm going to vote Liberal, and here's why. Good. Let's fucking talk about that, right? Your hatred for him is sound. I know why you don't like him, and I know why people at West don't like him either.
Virtual signaling dick.
Yeah, he's embarrassed us. Like, he's an embarrassing leader. However, he's been smart enough to fucking get himself out of the picture and allow everybody else and the serious people in the room to go do his job, right? So I like that. Think, fuck, if no one likes you, no one's going to pay attention to you. Get out of the way so other people can do your gig.
He also handled, and I know this is going to drive the pro convoy crowd. I thought he handled that well. Did you?
Very.
And because he sort of just went,
Very. I think he. I don't think he. Yeah, he didn't give them. He didn't give them gas, right? Like, he didn't give them any attention. And they're all fucking losers. Like, if I haven't explained that to you before, and if I haven't been
just
serious
because you
enough
have
to
a
this
fuck
point,
Trudeau sticker on your car, your Subaru, doesn't make you a loser, Dean.
Do you have a fuck Trudeau sticker on your Subaru? You do, don't you?
I may or may not have had one for a period of time. It may have been one of those things you stick in the
you?
back window.
That was you? You were one of those guys?
I'm still one of those guys. I don't, you know what I don't need? I don't want to be, I don't need the attention. So when I put it on and I drove around with it for a bit, I realized that I was doing that because I wanted people to give me attention for it. And I'm like, what? I don't need this attention.
Why do I? Fucking very self-aware thing to say, by the way.
I don't need it, and it's not positive attention. It's just negative attention. And what am I saying? To be honest, I thought it was funny because it was big too. Like it was huge. It wasn't just a little fuck Trudeau.
Yeah, but it's like everything until the other assholes start taking your thing and they're like making it bigger and they're taking it to Ottawa and they're trying to fucking take over Parliament.
Well,
with
it
fuck
just seemed
Trudeau
funny to
flags and
me
stuff
to have it on a Subaru too. I don't know why. Like I put truck nuts on my Subaru and I drove around for like a month with these red truck nuts on my Subaru, and I just thought that was funny.
It is funny, but now it's been appropriated. It's like it's been taken out of. It's like the upside down flag. If I see one more upside down flag hanging onto a hockey stick in the well of a fucking truck, flying in the wind at 120 down the 401 or the 407 or the 404, any major series of highways, really, I'm gonna fucking grab it and beat the shit out of the guy's truck with it. It's like, seriously, I'm that guy now. I've become that person where someone has taken this flag that I actually like. Not that I need it in my life, but it's like every time I see someone fly one of those flags now, I'm like, you've appropriated the fucking flag. Same thing. They've appropriated like, dumb shit that you thought was fun, like truck nuts or whatever. But it's literally this fucking mental, like serious fucking disconnection between objective reality and fucking the world we live in. The dude is our prime minister. Like, you can drive around angry all the time. You can have a flag on the back of your car. You can demean this country, but you're a fucking piece of shit. Like every single one of those every single person that puts a fuck Trudeau flag or a massive bumper sticker, not you, because you wised up. That was funny. You did it because it was fun at the time, right? You were maybe an early adopter of the fuck Trudeau.
Well, I have a hat that I wear occasionally too.
But that's a way of life for some people. You think it's a funny joke. Oh, you have the gear.
And a flag.
Do you have a flag?
There's a couple things hanging in my garage, but just a few fuck Trudeau things. That's it.
Did what happened in this country make you embarrassed to have that stuff now?
No, not that. No, because I never really cared about that stuff. Like I said, I put it on my car because it took up the whole back window. And for a moment there, I was like, this is really funny. I hope people see the humor in this back decal, this fuck Trudeau thing. But then I realized remember I told you that I became a member of the Green Party?
Yeah.
And I thought people would get the joke and no one did. So I was like,
I get it right away. I get it right away. Make me laugh right away.
Not everybody did. Like, I got a couple of claps on the back because I was, at dinner parties and I would tell people I'm a member of the Green Party, thinking that they would understand the humor of me being a member of but they were like, good for you. I think it's important to people. Yeah. And I'm like, this is backfiring on me. I got to get it. So that's kind of how
this is backfiring.
No, but I understand where you're at with the flag. The other thing that's bothering me is every time that the convoy group gets together, like Tamara Litch gets out of jail, and you got these guys standing outside. They're singing "O Canada," like, "Oh, don't ruin the anthem for me. You're already ruining the flag. Don't ruin the fucking anthem now."
I'm gonna play it. I have to because
they changed the words. It's just
dude,
oh, come on.
It's the grossest shit I've ever seen. So Tamara Litch finally, after a month in the fucking lockup, eating cockroaches, watching her toenails grow.
Probably had a pretty decent setup.
Not
if we're being honest. If we're being honest,
looks like she lost some weight in Joe. Not bad.
She's probably doing.
But this is her coming home.
Push-ups.
Probably, yeah. She's probably getting old. She got hard for like a month too. Probably. She probably wore the bandana.
Old Sarah Connor.
Yeah, walked into fucking jail like, I want the biggest broad here. Let's go. She probably did that too. I'm gonna fight the toughest bitch here. Let's fucking go. Anyway, this is her arriving home. This is her arriving home in Medicine Hat. People destroying the flag, destroying the anthem for everybody. Here we go. nice.
Jesus. What's the counter signal? Because she's not supposed to be on social media.
I don't know. Don't care.
Is that
Just
another
happy we have
social
it.
media?
Yeah.
You know what I find amazing?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Let's let a bunch of terrorists sing the anthem and look cool. Fucking losers, all
You
of
know
them.
what? You know what I find interesting about people
Fucking losers.
that are able to find the acid wash jeans. Like where do you buy them? Like I haven't had a pair of acid wash jeans since probably 1986. So the fact that you're still able to dig them up, like what store? Because is it Walmart? Maybe I need to shop at Walmart more.
Look at those things. There's a lot of acid wash in the crowd. Great catch. And a ton of fucking rugby pants.
Yeah.
Look at that shit. Look at this shit. She just fucking, this woman tried to take over the fucking government. She's getting a hero's welcome home for stealing $20 million dark money. So it doesn't really matter.
What's happening here though? Right? Like, I mean,
cult shit.
Where's this coming from? I mean, we're
stupidity and
we're in
Facebook
trouble.
and church. That's where this shit comes from. We're not in trouble. It's
We're in
like
trouble.
80 people there welcoming this degenerate home who made everybody's life miserable for a fucking month. She can fuck off. Those idiots can fuck off, and they can go back to their church, and they can sing
More to it,
Kumbaya, and then they can leave church. Just shut the fuck up. No one listens to you anymore because you don't give a fuck about this country. You care about trying to sewer everybody around you because it's theocracy you're after. It's some kind of Jesus freaked lifestyle you think everybody should live. And Tamara Lich is an idiot.
I don't agree with you. I think we need to be concerned about this. This needs to be
You think so?
looked at. Smarter people than you and I need to evaluate where we're at and why this is why that woman is getting a hug right now.
Because people have been fucking brainwashed for the last several years. It's literally happening. Like we've talked about.
They think that we're brainwashed.
No, I know, but that's what makes them so fucking dumb, right? And they're dangerously dumb. That's the thing about these fucking idiots is that they're giving each other welcome home parties for spending a month in jail for legitimately breaking several serious fucking federal offenses, some laws. And they don't care. They're like, yeah, that's awesome. You went and hurt people. We're really happy you're back because you told people how it really works. And we've been learning about how it really works on fucking Facebook, bruh. That's how these people fucking operate.
What does she do
and
next?
They're all dumber than the next. Who gives a fuck? She's on house arrest, dude. She's got a sweet ankle monitor underneath that acid wash anklet. Like, that is what her life is. You stay home. You stay home and try not to fucking get arrested again or try not to make money on the internet.
I don't think she's going to serve any more time. I honestly don't.
Maybe not.
I honestly think that they're going to have to. I don't think Pat King, that's a different story. There's too many videos of him threatening to kill people and that one he made bail too. That one surprised me.
Patty King made bail?
Didn't he?
I don't know. I don't think he did yet.
Maybe I just assumed he did because Tamara got out.
Yeah, but she didn't talk about shooting people all the time.
Yeah, Pat, there was quite a few. I like that the concern on that cop that arrested him. He's like, you've always been safe. And he's like, well, I don't know. Can we still step out of the car just in case you got a bomb in there? Because I've been told that you might be dangerous.
I've been told you might be fucked in the head. Yeah. This is what we got. I mean, we're going to tackle some of this stuff on Wednesday with a guy named Chris Vickery. Chris is amazing, by the way. Like, one of the things I want to endeavor to do here, specifically over the next little bit, is to show you how things get this way, to show you how large groups of people can be literally activated from a U.S. or Canadian voter profile list, 198 million people long. It can get into the hands of a company in Victoria called Aggregate IQ, which is an arm of Cambridge Analytica. And they can have churches, movements, governments get that information, pay for Aggregate IQ and Cambridge Analytica to further and boost messages like this video of Tamara Lich that was put out by the Counter Signal, which probably I'm going to say most likely gets money and support from theocratic organizations and governments that want to make Canada look like shit and want these people to fucking buy into the weirdness. That's what this is. It's all it is. That is all it is. That's why these people are so fucked in the head, is because they're legitimately like, this is Jonestown territory. We're not in, that they just might have a difference of opinion. No, these people are literally brainwashed cucks that literally think Jesus Christ is coming out of the sky at some point. He's going to take all of them with us and the rest of the world's going to burn. If that is not a cult, a doomsday cult full of people who don't give a fuck about what's going on in this country, to agitate them is the goal. Like, that's fucking everybody's goal. That's how do we get the dumbest, seriously, most religious people on the planet and in this country to do our bidding for us, because we can't have an army in that country. That's what has happened. And we'll have Chris on, who spoke at Parliament. I'm speaking with a couple of MPs about this very thing because it is all very true. I'm speaking with one tonight, a legitimate member of Parliament, because he knows this is a problem, that the brainwashing of Canadians, with the help of analytics companies like Aggregate IQ, which is in big trouble out of Victoria, British Columbia. Like, this is not just coming from Russia, by the way.
Cambridge got shut down too. Cambridge, no. Are they still going?
Still, yes.
Didn't they get in trouble though?
Yeah, tons of trouble with the whole Trump thing, because they did the same thing with Trump. They emotionally aggravated people enough to go and make a decision.
Obama hired him.
Totally, everybody has.
Obama hired him, and Trump found out that Obama won on the backs of the information they got from Cambridge, and so he went to them and said, "Hey, I want that," and they went, we need to shift gears here because this orange thing looks a little bit different than the guy dressed up in the suit here.
Well, they got paid.
They just shift gears, and they and they went, all right.
And it's enormous. Like, if you look at the kind of money
and that I don't think people realize, and I don't either. I don't think people realize just how powerful that is in the world that we live in today. The guy that we had on last week from Cleveland,
Hi-Fi.
Holy shit, that was eye-opening.
Right.
What day was that?
I want to say it was Thursday. Was it Friday? No, it was Friday. We had Hi-Fi on Friday.
Okay, I was just trying to remember which day I was drunk.
Yeah.
It would have been Friday then. You got to go watch that pod. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. It was
and we're gonna get to the bottom of it. But dude, it's not like, I know you say there's a problem, and we do kind of have a problem, obviously, when you have activated idiots like this that are willing to literally throw their entire life away just because they read something on Facebook like 3 times. That's what this is. Seriously. And they think they're saving the world. They think they're saving you.
There's something else though, right? Like, if I'll give you an example. This might not be I'm trying to think of something quick that's happened to me recently. So I just found out that the company that I work for has this media, and it's fairly new, but it's kind of grown, and they've become way more sort of engaged in this digital world. So they're trying to get more and more organized. My company, Harvard Broadcasting. Mm-hmm. So we've recently been introduced to this group that has been set up to try to take advantage of the social media assets that they have working for them. So we've signed up. This is kind of funny, and it's just, for lack of a better explanation, we signed up for this influencer package. Okay. So the jocks were presented this opportunity. Listen, and you have full control over it, I can say yes or no to it, right? Mm-hmm. If a client comes and wants me to sell something, and I like the product, I can promote it on my social media and I'll get some money. All right. It's always about the greenbacks. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So I signed up for this, and this company has been set up to try to find ways to make money from their digital properties, right? And their digital assets, like Locke and Jimmy on the locker room, right? And so I've had a lot of communications. I'm asking a lot of questions, and I didn't sign up at first. I've since signed up, and I may never get in. Nobody may ever use me to promote their product. All right.
I would,
if I do get it. I mean, I might make a couple of bucks from it. So who knows? You might see me whoring something on one of my social media platforms soon. But I have been really engaged to try to learn, because I'm 52. I didn't grow up with this shit. I'm learning on the fly here and have been for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not very good on social media, so I'm trying to get better because I realize the power of it. I didn't know anything about podcasting, was very interested in that. Dean brought me over to the podcast network, and I've stuck around because I'm intrigued by this and the power of this and this medium, and it's making me a better broadcaster. I got a note on my Instagram, and it said that I can become a blue check mark. People know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Verified.
So I took a screenshot of it and I sent it to my contact in the digital department for their company and said, is this real? My first instinct when I saw that was, this isn't real, but should I be signing up for it? Because I don't know, maybe we want the fucking blue check. I don't know. Fuck, do I want the blue check mark? I don't know. And so she came back and asked me, told me that this was fake. And I'm a dumb guy on social media. It was obvious to me that didn't look right. So I found somebody that's smarter than me and asked them. That's why I'm fucking confused by people getting sucked into this stuff.
Right.
Like
Dude, you are abnormal in this world. Like, one thing that people need to do, and I say this to my kids all the time when they're looking for information or they get phished or someone says something, because the goal there, it was to get your login information so someone could steal your fucking account. Do you know what they do with stolen IG, Facebook, and Twitter accounts? They use them to launder money across the world. And they might have
I didn't
access.
know that.
Yeah, dude, it is unbelievable. The things and the hijinks and what they're trying to do. The fake trucker convoy, case in point, the very first Facebook article that went up came from a woman who lived in Missouri. Now, when was contacted by federal authorities, they said, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you hustling money and trying to get people to donate to this clearly foreign entity and this organization that's full of shit?" And she's like, "My fucking account got stolen like a week and a half ago. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I've been trying to get it back." To the tune where the ladies whose account was stolen, the daughter sent the people who took over her account a note that said, "Hey, that's my mom's account. We'd like it back." And the guy sent one back, says, "Go fuck yourself. We're using it now." Like, seriously, that's what almost happened to your fucking Instagram account. This is not like 2015, 2017 Twitter online. This is, and I hope it doesn't scare you, and I kind of hope it does. This is legitimately like psyops and open source intelligence happening like right now in front of us. Like, if you're not super careful with every part, like I change my passwords almost daily because we had so many people try and get into my account, try and take over my everything. Like, we've had all of it. We've been doxxed. I've had all that stuff. All the shit that you would expect people to do has happened to us, right? And so when we talk about being able to back up or go and kind of verify whether or not something's real, we have those resources. These people out in Alberta that are sitting in their trailer on Facebook can't get up because they got gout and a million other things. And they're counting on Jesus to save them. They read this stuff and they get so activated because their lives suck so much. Like, so much. Like, someone offered Tamara Lish a job as like an international money organizer. She worked in bars. Like, this is literally happening in front of us right now. Yeah. So it's like, the activated, and they only go after the dumbest. Like, and that's what our friend Chris will tell you on Wednesday when we talk to him. They only go after superheated religious idiots. What did we have in Ottawa? Like, fuck, it's so easy to activate dumb religious people. So that's what we fucking have, dude. Pretty simple to understand. Whereas you're not religious, so you don't want anything to be true. You just want to fucking figure out whether or not this is real or not because you're a normal human being. So there you go.
Yeah. So again, that's where my confusion lies, is like, how do you, and I'm talking like, I get that there are targets out there, and I understand that the reason why they have these scams that seem obvious to most of us, and they actually do work on some, like I get all that. I'm not that dumb, but I'm surprised at the conversations that I have online or on the phone when I'm at the other show. And there's things like, yeah, no, Putin's there getting rid of Nazis. Like what? Like how did you get there?
I have a friend, his
It's
wife
scary.
went over to his house for coffee the other day. We haven't seen him in a long time. She comes in the garage. We're having coffee in the garage because he smokes. And she's like, can you believe that Putin has the courage to do what he's doing? That happened in a garage like a couple days ago. I'm like, excuse me? She goes, I hope he cleans all those Satanists out of there.
Yeah.
And I put my coffee down and I said, see ya. And I walked out because I'm like, fuck, I'm not dealing with this shit. This is crazy town. This is the same person that came running into the same garage several months ago going, hey, guess what? Just read they arrested the Pope. Guess who put that news out? Mark Slapinski at the Canadian Beaver. I didn't even know him then. Like, that is what we have to deal with on a daily basis. And it legitimately sits with our dumbest. And we need to get used to that idea. And here's the thing. When someone tells you, no, they're not dumb, and this is what's going on, double down, triple down. They are dumb. And they are, and some of them probably aren't even bad people. They're just so incredibly fucking brainwashed that all of these things, like the Russell Brand video and this video of Tamara Lich and the way that they put the counter signal together, like, we're coming. It's like, this is why it's happening, dude. You're seeing it. They're trying to fucking fight for the hearts and brains of idiots, and they're trying to make it just as uncomfortable as it can possibly be for everybody else. So
we have this conversation quite often on the locker room about, is dumb getting are we getting dumber, or is dumb getting louder? Right? Like that's the conversation. I think I think a lot of times that activation that you're talking about seems like it might be a bigger issue than it is, just based on the tools they have now to amplify their voice.
And it sounds like way bigger than it is, right?
Yes.
Because they employ millions of people to do the work of 40 people.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So I think that's part of, I think that makes me a little bit, it brings some ease to the conversation for me.
It's a virtual reality, dude. Like, that's what it is. Like, they're trying to paint this thing that's happening and get it texture and facts. And so you get crazy videos and Russell Brand talking about dictators and stuff like that. Yeah, Theo Fleury. It's like they fucking anything that fits that narrative they'll use. It's literally a mass confusion. Flood the zone with as much shit as you can, hateful stuff as you can. Doesn't matter. And there's like 2 people in Canada going, yeah. And there's like 10,000 other people all across the world going, fuck yeah, we're getting it. We're gonna fucking do it to that country.
Well, and it's all in an effort to destabilize democracy, because they don't. Mm-hmm. The conversation right now about what's happening in Ukraine and whether or not China will jump in and actually have, get involved, right? And now there's the discussion about how are they going to get involved and what does that look like? Do they help support Russia financially, right? And then use that as leverage down the road? Or do they actually support what's happening in the West? It'll be interesting to see how China gets involved. But
didn't Putin ask him for a bunch of weapons and stuff the other day? He's like, hey, I'm getting my ass kicked here.
He's asking for financial support because the sanctions are
killing him.
Yeah. I don't know if killing's the right word, but I think the sanctions are having an impact. They've dealt with sanctions, and if anything, over the years, I think all we've done is just played into his hands, because he wanted to create in an environment this gangster sort of underground economy, and the fact that the West just played right into his hands. The thing that's the difference between the sanctions that he's exploited over the years and used as propaganda in his own country about how the West is evil, it's backfiring on him now because everybody is involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they shut down all the fucking McDonald's yesterday, right?
Did you see the fat dude that chained himself to the McDonald's?
No. What was this? You got video?
Он может быть большой, маленький, может быть негодистый. Но они говорили, что принимайте себя такими, какие вы есть. И сегодня мы должны из-за них ломать свой привычный образ жизни. Я с этим крайне не согласен и возмущен.
So what you're seeing there is a 400-pound son of an artist that loves McDonald's. So the artist in question is, I can't pronounce his dad's name, but he's a famous artist in Russia, and he's a performance artist. So his son has eaten through his dad's profits apparently, and fucking loves McDonald's so much. He's like, fuck it. I'm going to chain myself to this McDonald's and I'm not going anywhere until they fucking refuse
To leave.
to close.
Отношение к любому человеку.
They had no food. This McDonald's had zero food. And they kept telling him, dude, there's no food here. And he's like, I'm not leaving until there is some. That is exactly the guy that you would assume would chain himself to a fucking Russian McDonald's. It's unbelievable. And you know what? The funny part is it's that it's not just McDonald's is closing down. Apple's closing down. Like all major corporations are closing
Look,
down.
they're walking around him like
Oh, yeah.
they're not even paying. That family's going in.
He's pleading his case. No, it's totally cool for me to be here. But Apple shut down. And then yesterday, Putin's like, no problem. We're just going to take over every Apple store. We're going to appropriate all the Apple products and stuff like that. And Apple shot back. They're like, dude, you got nothing. We know exactly what you got of ours. It doesn't matter. It's all bullshit anyway. It's 144 million people in that country. Still a lot of people, but in the big scheme of things, it's fucking they're getting crushed. Like I had a conversation with a guy in Ukraine today. His friend who lives in Russia. Cannot buy food today. Can't buy it. No food. Can't afford it because the fucking rubles and they haven't changed prices. Like that country is going through some things. So I'm excited to see what it is.
That's the difference now, right? And the fact that they've shut off access to the world markets too is significant. That, I mean, I was reading a story about how they worked around the sanctions in the past, but they left all the markets. All these people, all these Russians, these rich Russians, were able to do whatever they wanted in other countries. There was no lack of access. A lot of them had passports to travel and go as they pleased.
Do you ever hear about those golden passports that they have? Have you heard of these golden passports? They're like diplomatic immunity passports, which means you can literally kill someone in a country if you have that passport. So like any one of those guys could have murdered someone in the street, just got back into the car and not be held accountable for it because they had diplomatic immunity.
Well, and then there's also, some question marks right now about the guy that owned the Chelsea football team, the soccer team.
Abramovich.
Right? He's got a Portuguese passport.
Yeah.
So the government's in trouble. Like Portuguese is going, how did this happen? Like,
yeah, get this guy fucking out of here, dude. There's Russians that have Canadian passports too that have been sanctioned. There's like 10 of them, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you know what? That's the problem with, and people are asking, why wasn't this guy on the list? Well, because something's sketchy about the reason why he is in the position that he's in right now. And the people that are in power that may have actually helped grease the wheels to get him that sort of leverage or that privilege are going, do we put him on the list? Because they're going to find out that he has a Canadian passport,
dude,
and a free hangar at the airport.
Yeah, and has for a long time. And he supports 10 other businesses that belong to these politicians. Like in England, they've had 3 oligarchs mysteriously die in the last 2 weeks because they're like, fuck, you got to kill him because if they find out we're working with him, we're fucked. So they're like, all right. So MI6 goes in, pop, pop, pop. And then everybody's like, natural causes. Like, it's fucking lit. We're watching James Bond
good,
shit.
Boris. You're good.
Double tap complete. You're good. Yeah.
Go comb your hair.
Yeah, finally. Anyway, thanks for doing this, brother. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a good one today.
Yeah. Good conversation, right? Like it wasn't, it was us laughing at a few things. We laughed at the Russian version of Grimace a little bit, but not because he's fat. It's because he chained himself to a fucking McDonald's.
I bet you he needs help wiping his ass. Like there's some sort of a tool or a person that comes in.
Yeah, like a sponge on the end of a stick.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Fuck. Anyway, thanks for doing this,
dude.
Dude.
Big
Appreciate
dude.
it. That is a big cat.
That's a big cat.
Like tying your shoes would be just fucking impossible. He's got slip-ons for sure.
Yeah, that's a Velcro guy.
That's a nice way to say it from now on. That guy's got Velcro shoes for sure. Jesus Christ. Anyway, thanks for doing this, brother. Great to see you.
We'll talk about my curling next week or tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, I thought you talked about it with the Trump guy, but I think there's a story there that we didn't get to today.
Yeah, we'll leave it. We'll leave it for tomorrow.
All right.
It's something to tease.
Okay.
Locke's thoughts on curling.
Curling tomorrow, and our friend Dr. Mario Elia will join us tomorrow as well.
Right. Have a good one, brother.
You too, pal. Take care. That's Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. That's it for us, everybody. Have a great day. Sorry, it was a little serious today. Nothing major, right? Sometimes you got to take care of some business and do the business of the people before you can start laughing at people's inadequacies, which I love doing. Just not today. Do it tomorrow. Have a great day. Don't forget, you can sign up for a newsletter at deanblundell.com. And if you're so inclined, you can visit our sponsors and friends at Easy Auto Financial. If you're looking for a vehicle, go to easyautofinancial.ca and get yourself a profile there. There's no obligation. Doesn't cost you a dime either. If you've got a problem with credit, no credit, good credit, doesn't matter. They welcome all credit and welcome everybody that wants a car. They don't charge you for financing. It's what they do. Go to easyautofinancial.ca for more details today. Also, don't forget our good friends at Domination. If you do content, streaming, gaming, and whatnot, you can try them for free. People that produce content, whether it's promos, you can produce like 10 promos, 70 promos in like a matter of minutes instead of hours. They take all the guesswork out of it. It's AI for people that game stream and want to produce promotional material, and it takes a fraction of the minute that you normally need to do that shit. Try them for free today. They're incredible. Go to domination.com, dmntn.com. Try them today. And Ed's Fine Imports and his Gitch. We wear them all the time. You can too. GITCH3 is your promo code. Make sure you order from Ed. He's got an entire online store of clothing for men and boys as well. He's got a lot of stuff. 34 Heritage jeans, stretchy, just in case. Got the COVID-15. They work the other way too, so they don't stretch. When you can fit into them, it's a good time. But go to Ed's Fine Imports, order his Gitch today. GITCH3 is your promo code. You get a free pair for free. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Dr. Mario Elia and some curling stories from Lachlan. Bye.